Yeah, Ohio Wrestlecast #1, right? Let's do an introduction this time.
Dude, I like how you got right into the radio broadcaster voice.
It's like,
we have been sitting
and
here.
welcome to...
We've been sitting here shooting the shit for the last hour, and we're like, we might as well start recording this. And Mark's voice
At least
drastically
the last 8.5
changed.
minutes.
Drastically changed to the radio broadcaster
I'm that
voice.
bum guy on the side of the road that just has that beautiful golden voice out of nowhere.
I forgot all about him.
You know that guy made it, got a job, made it, and then failed again. He became a junkie again.
Homeless junkie.
Yeah.
But you know, this Ohio Wrestlecast is brought to you by Founders.
Yep.
If we drink enough of these and do enough of these, maybe they'll pay us a little bit of money.
Please, Founders. I like them too much not to. But welcome to the first episode of Ohio Wrestlecast, brand new podcast that focuses mainly on wrestling.
Or
But-
whatever else comes up.
Yeah, we're old friends. It's going to happen. We're going to talk about shit. But welcome to episode 1. I am Mark. You know me, and this is...
I am Jerrod. You may know me as Wilbur Whitlock on the independent wrestling scene. That's one of the main reasons why we decided to do this podcast. Yeah, a couple of buddies, have a couple cold ones, talk about wrestling, and I can bring a different perspective to the table as somebody who's been inside of the business. Some of my perspectives.
Wrestled a few legends.
Wrestled a few legends, been successful against a few legends.
Yeah.
And but still, ultimately, we're fans. We're
Yep.
fans doing a podcast about wrestling fans.
Absolutely. In the end, it's just us enjoying wrestling and life in general.
And Founders.
And Founders. The beer for wrestling fans.
So what do you want to talk about in episode 1, buddy? Wrestling, the art of professional wrestling, man. That's why we could do podcasts literally every day.
Yeah.
That's why lots of podcasters do podcasts every day about professional wrestling. But we could talk all day.
We could talk every week, essentially.
We really could, but this is episode 1. What do you want to start with, man? We want to start with this
Start with the
beautiful
cat.
kitty cat.
Introduction of Lenore to the Ohio Wrestlecast.
We're going to start with Ernest the Cat Miller. That's going to be the topic of conversation. We're talking before we started filming. I'm thinking we could probably get started talking about WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania is all together. We did a WrestleMania preview.
We did.
For WrestleMania 34 coming up here in a couple of weeks. But
That it is.
we're going to end up talking about the cat. That's what's
He's going to steal the show.
But I figured, man, we could talk about WrestleMania. What WrestleMania means to us. It's the hottest time of the year for wrestling. It's the Super Bowl of wrestling, for lack of a better term.
Exactly my words.
Man, so what's your first WrestleMania moment?
Ooh. First WrestleMania moment.
That's such a a cash word right now in the business is the WrestleMania moment. But for us fans, there are WrestleMania moments. I'll tell you what. I asked a question, I'll answer it because I'm a camera hog. I'm a little bit older than you, but I actually remember WrestleMania 4, and it was 1988, so you probably weren't even born yet.
87, that's me.
So you still wouldn't remember it. Macho Man Randy Savage beats the $1 Million Man in the finals of the tournament. I remember watching that.
I wasn't around, honestly,
I remember watching that live, and that was captivation for wrestling altogether for me. And but the WrestleMania was the thing. My parents, my dad, they weren't big wrestling fans.
Yeah.
But WrestleMania was still a thing. Like, it was a pay-per-view. Pay-per-view was in its infancy back then. You went to your friend's house just as we do today. You get together and you have a good time and you get a bite to eat and you drink a couple
brews.
Founders and you watch the show. And I remember watching the Macho Man beat the $1 Million Man at WrestleMania 4, and that's what got me hooked. And still to this day, as WrestleMania is coming up, WrestleMania is the most important wrestling day of the year.
No, it is. Like, as you said it, you stole my words, essentially, saying it's the Super Bowl of wrestling. It really is. It's the end of the wrestling season and the beginning of the next season, right afterwards.
Right.
So, like, the Monday night following WrestleMania is the beginning of a whole new year of wrestling.
On that.
Really,
nowadays with the network, and I've even done it where you can go back and look and find that Raw the Monday night after and think about how many iconic things start the Monday after WrestleMania. It's just, and nowadays, and we talked about it on the preview. I think they're going to do the Hall of Fame on Friday, NXT on Saturday.
Yeah.
WrestleMania, of course, is Sunday, and then the Monday Night Raw on Monday after. I mean, it's 4 days of wrestling.
It's essentially a wrestling festival if you're there for all of it. It's like Woodstock of wrestling.
It really is. I mean, I don't know. I'm dedicate my weekend to it. as far as.
Oh yeah, I look forward to WrestleMania every single year.
WrestleMania weekend is a thing. Still haven't gone to one live.
Me either.
Of course, I mean there's so many things to do. I think last year was in Orlando, and if you look, there was, I don't know, 20 indie shows then, and podcasts and fan festivals.
Oh yeah,
and I mean it's just turned into an extravaganza. And you figure anything that can bring in 50, 60,000 people to enjoy,
or more.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The record's over 100,000.
Cowboy Stadium a couple of
Is
years
it?
ago.
Is
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Isn't that, I mean, 100,000 people coming to see anything.
100,000 people anywhere is a lot of friggin' people.
And
Shit, 50,000 people.
That's why wrestling will take advantage of it. I mean, you set up shop with your independent shows, and there's just so much good talent. And then you think about it, between all the legends, the current stars, in the WWE, and then all the independent stars, how much wrestling is in the town that weekend.
For sure. With NXT too now?
Super Bowl-esque. I mean, that's how big this is. It really is.
Yep.
So man, you thinking about it? What's like, man? WrestleMania. You remember the first WrestleMania you saw? Like,
honestly,
at you?
First WrestleMania I couldn't tell you. Like that's how young I was. That's how long ago it was.
Sure.
Like I can remember the first time I watched wrestling, and that was back when it was on Saturdays. Saturday mornings.
Superstars?
I don't know if it was just a replay of something else, but that's when I watched it on my little like 80s TV with the dials.
Oh yeah.
And I would tune in and be like, "Oh yeah, Channel 6. There's Shawn Michaels." Shawn Michaels was my boy back then. I remember I went to the Civic Center for something. It was the night I don't know if it was taped or anything. This is back when it was after Raw was a thing. It was definitely after 93, I'm sure. But I watched 1-2-3 Kid and Razor Ramon fight and break up in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
That's back when Viscera was King Mabel. They carried his ass out.
Yeah.
I touched Bret Hart's arm. You know what I mean? And was like, oh my God.
At the same Canton Civic Center, now we're jumping stories because we're talking WrestleMania. At the same Canton Civic Center, Bret the Hitman Hart dropped his bag off in his locker next to mine.
Oh, wow.
I'm sitting there getting dressed. I'm in the locker room putting my knee pads on or whatever, and I see somebody's bag drop, and I look up, and I goes, "Hey, man, Bret Hart, how you doing?"
When was this?
This was 2004.
So he was fucking Bret Hart.
He was Bret Hart. Now, he wasn't wrestling. It was after the concussions and the stroke.
So what was he doing
just
there?
Doing an appearance. He ended up doing an appearance, kind of, hey, how are you? And then doing autograph signings and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I know somebody out there that would love
that a full circle
that
story?
happened.
Yeah. Bret Hart in that.
Miss you, Dougie.
In the same Canton Civic Center. Was in the locker room.
That's amazing.
Hey, how you doing? He actually said Bret Hart.
So cool.
It's a wrestling thing. It's you introduce yourself. You never met somebody before, and you always shake hands with all the boys. Like
he seems like a really humble dude.
That's what. So he did. He stuck his hand out, and I was probably on game. Like I know who you are.
Of course, you were marking out like a motherfucker.
Absolutely, he's Bret the Hitman Hart.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just thought that's funny. We got a Bret Hart story at the same building.
Fuck, I wish I had a Bret. The only Bret Hart story I has is he walked past the little metal barriers, and I was like,
right?
At like 6 years old.
Right?
Like, holy shit, that's Bret Hart.
Isn't
I even
that
bought the
something?
glasses.
Thing.
Yeah, wore them. I
Isn't
brought him
that
to school
awesome,
the
man?
next day, showed him to Jeff.
And that's something I try to keep in perspective as a being on the independent scene. Now I've wrestled the Canton Civic Center, and by all means that is the biggest building crowd that
around here
that I've personally wrestled in front of.
Oh shit.
Done some baseball stadiums, but they weren't full.
Oh, gotcha.
So the Civic Center is really, really cool, man. And then you see the kids, and you see...
And it's local. It's like a hometown show for you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you see them, and they want the autograph and stuff. And it's tough for me sometimes to separate that I'm Jerrod, I'm just some dude that's got to pay bills like everybody else, right?
You're Dickie Willis.
But, I was Dickie Willis many
Deep
moons ago.
People don't even know that shit. I know Dickie Willis, but you don't.
But for that moment, those kids are coming, and the parents are paying for the tickets, but for the kids to have a good time, and they don't know that. They don't know that you're just Jerrod struggling to pay the bills, and eating ramen noodles that night. you're a star to them, and so you reach out and touch the arm and stuff. And like now for Bret Hart, it's a different story. He's going to every single town with tens of thousands of kids every single
Best
town.
there is, best there was, best there ever will be, sort of thing. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure even him, like you put it in perspective sometimes, like. Man, sometimes it's just that night out for that family.
Well, just
to take it in, and it's a cool feeling. It really is.
I mean, you gotta take into account the history of Bret Hart, the Montreal screw job, going to WCW, and pretty much just getting.
And that was. It
I
almost
mean,
seemed
I
like
watched
random.
Monday Night War. I heard about it. I mean, as much as that could
Well,
be
what's
true
crazy
or
is that
not.
Bret Hart was in WCW for 3 years. If you think about it, from 97 to 98, 98, 99, 99, 2000,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But doesn't it feel like Bret Hart's career... Hi, kitty cat. Doesn't it feel like Bret Hart's career almost ended at the Montreal Screwjob? You know?
Pretty much, because once he said
How many-
WCW in the air, and once he went to WCW, they just did not utilize
How
him
many
like they should have.
WCW moments do we talk about with Bret Hart
No,
nowadays?
I couldn't think of a single, other than him getting kicked in the head by
Kicked in the
Goldberg
head.
and retiring
He
after
had the
that.
great match with Chris Benoit in Kansas City.
You're right,
It
I
was,
forgot all about that.
After his brother passed. Other than that, though, you know, if we want to
Yeah.
talk about Bret Hart, we'd sit here and talk for 3-4 hours at least, and it
Yeah.
would pretty much all be WWF stuff.
Yeah, no
You
doubt.
know?
Other than the end of his career,
And
yeah.
that's kind of a shame. Because
It really is.
It's not sitting here shitting on WCW and what it was, but like, because WCW was part of the Monday Night Wars.
They
I mean,
had their moments. They were on
all
top
watched
at one
but
point.
Kind of a shame that one of the best wrestlers of all time, with a company that meant a lot to wrestling growing up,
Yep.
they don't really coincide. Like, they never really.
No, you're
Merged
absolutely
the way
right.
it
Like
should've.
Bret Hart and WCW is not a story you really want to hear, unless you
Oh,
want the
well-
end of the
well,
story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story that you want to hear. Is if you want to hear, you know, how bad,
How it ended.
how bad things can be bungled.
Because I mean, if you see that kick to the head from Goldberg, I could see how that was a retirement kick.
Man, we said we're going to freestyle. You want to talk about Goldberg? You want to talk about a guy that I never got, man. Just
No,
never got.
he was WCW's answer to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he was no Stone Cold.
No,
Steve
he was
Austin.
no Stone Cold.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was moments where Goldberg was cool to me.
you know who Goldberg's more comparable to than Stone Cold. I mean, yeah, he had the goatee, bald head, and black trunks, but you know who he's more comparable to than Stone Cold was like the Ultimate Warrior, in the sense that he was, man, very smash mouth. You're only about there 2-3 minutes, and it's exciting 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's done, and then before you can realize the flaws,
It's all gimmick.
a little bit.
Yeah,
And,
no, you're right. It's all gimmick. I didn't think about it like that.
And
But
that
you're
being
right.
said, even the Warrior paid his dues on the circuits. You know, he came up through the territories, and then Vince got a hold of him. I mean, when you look the way he does, and that's you're gonna get the machine behind you.
Those were the Royd days too.
Oh boy, were they ever! Well, that being
Where-
said, I mean the goddamn Warlord should have been world champion 20 times over.
True.
I'm just-
True.
But you know the Goldberg thing never just never resonated, and I wasn't a smart fan back then. I mean, you know, the Monday Night Wars. I was a teenager, and you're a few years younger.
Well, in all fairness too, I was a WWF guy,
I was
not a
WWF
WCW
guy,
guy. Like
WWF
I watched
too.
WCW when NWO came around.
Sure. And there was a time when the WCW product was better than the WWF, and then the ratings reflected it.
Oh, back and forth.
Yeah.
Especially in the early days, WCW was killing it. But once the Attitude Era hit, you really couldn't touch WWF.
Yeah. This cat is going to be the star of our podcast.
Oh, she always is. She always is.
But even then, Goldberg was a guy where I felt like, I don't know, I don't get it. I wasn't like, work rate didn't mean anything to me as a 13, 14-year-old, but I knew that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels were going to have a more entertaining match than Goldberg was. Like,
No,
you
I
know,
believe
you
that.
knew that still. You knew the
Yeah.
guys that were good. For example, like Mr. Perfect was always one of the best heels of all time as us being kids, but I always liked
Current
Mr.
headache.
Perfect. And I didn't know what work rate meant. You know,
Yeah.
The internet didn't exist in 1993, but I knew that he had great matches.
We were pretty young in 1993 too.
There you go. But
We didn't understand much.
But I still knew like Mr. Perfect was good.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
even
knew
though he
Mr.
was a top
Perfect,
heel.
yeah.
I knew that he was good.
Which makes me sad that fucking Curtis Axel, that's his son, right?
Yes, it is.
That he gets so underutilized because he probably has a bunch of potential.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's an it factor in wrestling. That
Oh no, you're absolutely
you want
right.
to spend 2 hours on a podcast talking about what the it factor means, because fuck if I know.
Honestly, you're right though, because if you think about it, Mr. Perfect, he had some factor, but he didn't exactly have it factor. He never made it real.
No,
he was never a top guy.
He was never the top guy. He was
got
a world heavyweight
close.
champion in the AWA, which
Okay.
most of us in our generation don't remember because it was WWF.
Yeah.
We came along where the WWF was king. The NWA had died. The AWA had died. The WCW kind of picked up. And
Yeah.
WCW as well. The territory days were stronger. 70s into the early 80s, mid 80s.
No, you're right.
And so Kurt Hennig was big in the AWA.
It's crazy. He's kind of like an early Taz. Taz was huge in ECW.
Taz was huge in
Came
ECW.
to WWF. They gave him a push, but didn't really push him all the way.
There's a big fish, little pond sort of thing. But I mean, that's not necessarily fair to
There's
the
definitely
talent.
some politics involved for sure.
Politics involved. There's injuries involved. As far as Taz goes,
But-
if you're talking about Taz, he was, sometimes you make such a name for yourself on a lower level that you bust your body doing so.
Yeah, that you
And
can't
then
quite
get
make
there,
it in
Which, hey, I'll tell you what, that could be a segue to talk about Daniel Bryan, right?
Good
We
point.
missed that on the WrestleMania pod.
We did. Honestly, I don't see how that might not be a WrestleMania match.
I think it's going to be a WrestleMania match, and that's like the top story.
Yeah, why
right
didn't
now.
we even think about that? That's insane.
We didn't even have any founders in us at that point.
Daniel
That's
Bryan's
pretty sad.
back, ladies and
Daniel
gentlemen.
Bryan is back.
And he killed it on there. He was a little rusty
Sure.
with the kicks, the drop kicks into the.
Kicks, yeah, but I mean, it's been a few years since he's done that.
But dude, I was so psyched for him. Like he looked so happy to be doing that.
oh, absolutely. I mean, I think all of us, the wrestling fans, are happy for him.
Yeah.
As long as his health is not
No,
in question.
like honestly, because Daniel Bryan's era, the era, the thing, I wasn't watching.
No,
so honestly, everything I know is from.
The Yep was Kevin
things
and
I've
Sammy
seen.
kind of mocking it. Yes.
Well, yes, that's what I
Was-
mean.
was
Yeah,
D-Bry.
yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah,
getting confused.
Bryan
But no,
Danielson.
yes, the whole yes movement, the Occupy Raw thing, I wasn't watching then. So like, to me, this probably isn't as much as it could be for me. But to the point that I know enough about him
Yeah.
to know not only that, but my brother Jerrod. What's up, Jerrod? With an A.
Hi, other Jerrod.
Jay, as you people know, he watches like the Total Bellas show because his fiance does.
Yeah.
And like I actually started watching it too because honestly, that's kind of a cool look behind the
Oh, sure.
scenes.
We get to see the real person.
So for people like
You
us,
get to see the real
it's
person
kind of
involved.
cool.
Right.
But you start to see how like unlike if you watch Total Divas, they're totally just women being women in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like, but
I mean, we know all,
But
all
aside
reality
from that,
TV isn't necessarily reality
for
because
people like us,
story, but
it's still interesting.
sure.
Because you're seeing the behind the, and not only that, but it's like you've already known where the storyline went with wrestling, so you're seeing like the behind the scenes part of that storyline
Yeah.
too,
Oh, yeah.
where they're coming up with it and doing it.
Which is it's something that everybody wants to know nowadays. Wrestling is a weird bag, man. If
Wrestling-
you think about 20 years ago, and that's the Attitude Era, right? It's 1998. It's huge. Internet is starting to grow.
Yeah, people are starting to
So it started
spread
to be,
rumors
especially
and
with,
shit.
with WCW, WWE, and guys' contracts expiring, where they're going to end up. And,
Yeah.
that's when it was all starting. It's a weird thing because people, I mean, you're a movie guy, right? You love watching movies.
For sure.
Okay, do you're kind of interested in how it got there, but really you just want to see the movie because the movie looks good. Maybe the director's really good, maybe the producer's really good, maybe the actors are really good. All that,
You
but
want to see what
still-
all the
you
hype's about.
still want to see the final product, and
Yep.
you don't really care about all the behind the scenes stuff, how they get there.
For me, I do though. I'm the guy that buys Blu-rays because I want all that extra shit.
Do you
I want that
before, do
90-minute
you after?
documentary.
Do you after? Now, after's a different story. If we watch WrestleMania and then a month later we see how everybody was feeling about WrestleMania going in, that's kind of cool.
No,
right
that's true.
now we all want to know, well, who's Braun Strowman's mystery partner going to be?
Yeah,
And why
right
does
now
it
we
make
want to know
sense?
WrestleMania.
And that's what I'm saying. When the movie's in production, you don't necessarily care about how Ben Affleck is getting his inspiration for his role.
That's true. That's
you
true.
just want to see that he's good in the role. And then after
Yeah.
he's good in the role, maybe you want to hear him talk about it. Yeah, wrestling's a weird bag like that we want to know everything going into it
Oh yeah.
before we get there.
That's why we love
I wish
Talk
I
is Jericho. That's
Sure.
why we love
Oh, absolutely.
Steve Austin show. That's why we love that shit.
absolutely.
That's why we're
Yeah.
doing this.
That's why we're doing this. But at the end of the day, we could tell you all of this. It doesn't necessarily make the money. The money comes from buying the tickets, buying the shows.
That's true.
DVDs are starting to become obsolete, but
No, that's a really good point.
but buying the product, and if you don't deliver the product, it's all moot. You know. what I
No,
mean?
you're right. It's a
So
moot
I can
point.
sit here and tell you about the match I'm going to have on Saturday, and I can tell you every move I'm going to do, A, B, C, D. It's not really how it works, but I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I can do that, but still, a wrestling fan's going to want to come and see that in action because it's cool. you
Yeah.
know? because it's cool because you're still going to be involved.
That's a good point. Like, you don't want to give spoilers. You want it to happen and then explain it later after it's all said and done.
Right. I mean, if you compare it to a movie, you can
That's
read
why
a synopsis on a movie and hear what. I mean, The Sixth Sense. If you know that he sees dead people, you know Bruce Willis is dead.
You don't want to see a review, a spoiler review before the movie.
You know it's going to be coming.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
And maybe you can appreciate the movie before you get there. Maybe not. But you don't want to know. Yeah, the end is the only thing that you don't really want to know.
Yeah. This fucking.
But us as wrestling fans, we always think we know what the end's going to be. We sat there and did the
we all have our idea. Yeah,
but
that was a perfect
we're
example.
We're going to get surprises.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Brock Lesnar beating the Undertaker streak, man. It was unfathomable that somebody could break it. That match itself wasn't the best match ever, but we'll always remember it because the streak got broken. Nobody saw it coming.
Oh, you're right.
Last year, a lot of people saw Roman Reigns beating the Undertaker, but that moment, nobody saw that coming.
No, I mean, I wasn't watching then, but when I watched it back, hearing about it, I mean, I knew the outcome. Obviously,
you knew the outcome at that point, but the crowd didn't.
No, the black dude that's in the memes. So he definitely didn't see that. He did
not see that coming. No, that's the thing. Genuine reactions are something in wrestling that you always hope to achieve. I mean, every show on every.
That's
level.
why there's terms for it: marks, pops, all kinds of things. I
absolutely.
mean, that's part of the business. That is the business. Without that, there is no business.
Without those reactions and the machine keeps going, it evolves, but the machine keeps going forward, man. It's still really the end of the day. It's the same story being told every time.
Yeah,
good versus evil, and if it's not good versus evil, sometimes it's just who the better man is, and that's I think it was William Regal had the quote that some guys will say, "Oh, I got a cold story." There's never a cold story. If you're in a professional wrestling match, you should want to beat this man.
No.
And I'll use it in promos, and it's not necessarily real, but I'll say like, hey, like I need to get this win because my paycheck's my envelope's gonna be a little bit thicker.
Yep.
Man, that's a story.
No, it is. That's why there's shoot interviews.
If your story going into the match is, I want to buy an extra beer at the bar after the show, and I can't do it if I lose because my envelope won't be as thick.
Yep.
That's a story. And it's not false. I want my envelope to be thick so I can buy beer at the bar afterwards.
Good. Part of the business, right?
That's the best part of the business. Now, but man, we're all over the place. It's a lot of fun. We're talking about Daniel Bryan. I was talking. I've had this conversation with Evan. We got our buddy Evan Wiley.
Yeah.
Hi Evan, how you doing?
Shout out to Evan Wiley.
There's
you better be watching.
You better be watching this. We're friends doing a wrestling podcast. You better be watching.
If anybody should be watching, it's you and Jeff.
We had this conversation with him, about the indie guys coming to the WWE, and this is like in the CM Punk Daniel Bryan era.
Gotcha.
And my saying is that you have to look at it as an investment if you're WWE.
No, I believe that.
And these guys put a lot of miles on their bodies, and you look at a guy like Bryan Danielson, where
they're like a car, got too many miles.
Got a lot of miles.
They only got so much time.
You're right, and now you look at it and you go, "It's a hell of a car," but boy, there's a lot of miles on it.
Yeah.
And are you going to pay full price? It's a different comparison, but guys like Daniel Bryan had injury concerns. CM Punk had injury concerns because on the indie circuit, man, you kind of gotta your body is your ticket. I mean, it really is, and you're going to do some crazy cool stuff to get yourself noticed. And then get yourself noticed, but I mean, you only got one body. I mean, you do, no. and we call it the bump card, which is once your bump card gets full, it's time to check out, right? I've been doing this for 15 years, and I mean, I've put a lot of bumps on the bump card. So now when I go to a show, it'd be like, listen, we got a good crowd tonight. I could put another one on the bump card tonight. And I don't know. That's the thing, man. Your body can only handle so much, and it doesn't recover the way it does when you're younger.
No, that's the issue with concussions and everything. It's a big deal.
How cool is medical science nowadays, right? I mean, the Daniel Bryan thing, where they're looking at. They told him he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
and he's
many
gone
doctors.
Through so many different kinds of treatments to get to the point where he can wrestle again, and that's just technology that wasn't around.
No,
and the information we had on concussions wasn't around, and these are some good things that have changed about wrestling.
Even
chair shots to the head. And
5 years ago, concussions were the biggest problem.
Oh sure.
And now, I mean, he had so many concussions that he had to retire.
Not even
2 years later, they're telling him he's okay.
and I don't know the actual treatments that he went through or anything like that, but
No, me either.
obviously some in-depth stuff, that has him cleared to wrestle again. So I mean, medical science is so cool, and the amount of data and stuff that we have nowadays for any sort of combat sports. Again, we can get Jeff Hughes on here to talk about MMA, but
I'm sure you can tell.
For all these combat sports, it's amazing. It's amazing how far we've come, but that's a topic we probably don't know a whole lot about.
I really do. You probably know more than I do. And like you said, Jeff would probably know.
Yeah, talk about medical science and everything. That's probably a little outside of our realm.
Yeah,
we know wrestling. We watch wrestling.
All I know is it was a big issue for a while. To the point
sure.
Where, Chris Nowitzki was a big guy about it.
Chris Nowitzki,
he was like a runner-up on Tough Enough.
Runner-up on Tough Enough, and I'm sure that his research has helped a ton because he's been into this for 15 years now. We're doing research, and
not only that, but he was doing the research in also kind of in the defense of wrestling. Like he was supporting wrestling while doing the research, so that helped a lot in this situation. Probably a big reason for like wellness policy and stuff like that,
and the concussion scans, and because there was just so little information available. And I mean, back in the day, it was always like, you got your bell rung.
You'll be
go back out. You'll be all right.
Don't go to sleep.
Yeah. Even then, that was something they probably learned in the last 20 years. Like, you guys shouldn't go to sleep and you're with your concussion. Nobody knew the long-term effects, and now that you do, you know how to prevent it. I mean, that's something that's happened in our generation. Yeah. The research and the development going into that, which is awesome. Really, really is.
No doubt. Yeah.
Helping lead to a WrestleMania match that we did not talk about in our first podcast.
Which
wrestling with Daniel Bryan and the Shane McMahon against Sammy
that was kind
and Kevin.
I mean, we're still not certain about it, but I have a feeling
it hasn't been confirmed yet. But
triple threat, maybe a handicap match.
Maybe Daniel Bryan's going to be on the show. If you got that story to tell, and on top of all that, WrestleMania 30 is where he won the world title, and a long storyline. They're back in New Orleans again. But either way, you're that's a gold mine you're sitting on. You're not gonna.
Dude, there are so many Daniel Bryan
slide
fans.
Through your fingertips. Yeah,
with that whole
Daniel Bryan's return. That's just another. More icing on the cake, right?
Not
there's
even
icing on the cake already, but it's just better icing on the cake.
And then add that whole Connor the Crusher thing. That's
true.
Got even people who didn't like wrestling that tugged their heartstrings.
Watch that video and not cry. I dare you.
Oh my God, is that not the saddest story they've ever aired?
I dare you. And as if Bryan Danielson wasn't likable enough, that kind of Crusher story is
made him super likable.
Stuff.
The lovable Viking guy.
Yeah,
because he's representing them Vikings.
Well, I'm glad you got yourself back into wrestling. You mentioned to me off camera you took a couple years off.
Yeah, there was quite a few years. I couldn't even tell you. Like the last time I watched up until 2016 was the WrestleMania where Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair.
We thought that was almost 10 years ago.
Over at Evan Wiley's house. Yeah, that was a while ago.
That's too many Evan Wiley shout-outs on one podcast.
We need to leave him out of this.
He worked at Time Warner Cable. He got free pay-per-views, or it was half-price pay-per-views or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Nowadays, it's so easy. You pay $10 and you get it.
$10 a month on the WWE Network.
But, I forgot what I was saying. Fucking, oh, yeah, last time I had watched up until 2016 was that WrestleMania. And I hadn't watched a few years prior to that. Pretty much the end of it's like when John Cena came around, I was like, fuck this. And then...
Again, Evan Wiley's going to unfortunately agree with you.
Oh, good. But 2016, I was working at Marianne Donuts, and there were so many wrestling fans at Marianne Donuts, and they talked about it so much. I was like, fuck it. Royal Rumble's my favorite pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. I'm going to watch the Royal Rumble this year. Mm-hmm. I even paid $10 to get the network to watch it.
AJ Styles, number 3.
Number 3 came out.
3,
AJ Styles was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
I was back from that moment. Moment, I hadn't missed a Raw, a pay-per-view, a SmackDown, nothing.
It's, you paid your $10. You're like, I can catch up on all the other stuff on this network.
Like maybe I'll see some people I know. Maybe I'll learn some new people.
You sure have.
And boom, AJ Styles like, what? AJ Styles is in WWE now?
Yeah.
Here we go.
And
I'm on.
And it's only 2 years later now where he's going to be headlining at WrestleMania.
Which is so well deserved.
As the Macho Man says, the cream rises to the top.
And he did. He is the cream of the crop for sure. That dude is the shit. He is my boy.
Still, and what's crazy is
he does no wrong. He can have a match with the most worst wrestler, and he'll make them look good.
It doesn't feel like it, but AJ Styles has damn near 20 years in the business now.
No, I know.
Yeah,
he's like pushing 40.
I think
not
he's
over.
40. I think
Is
40,
he?
41 if I'm not mistaken.
And he still looks good.
Not
Still
look the part.
killing it. Still
Yeah.
the best guy on the card. One of them.
Yeah. Oh, almost every single night. Almost every single night. And what's crazy is when you have a guy like that you see on TV now for 2001 was WCW, so 17 years that he's been on your TV screen, and every single time he's on, it's still you're going to be excited. You know it's going to be a great match. I mean, man, that is very, very rare water to have a guy like that you're excited for every single time.
Yep. And he always does it. He
Sure.
doesn't disappoint.
No.
He could have a match with Braun Strowman and make Braun Strowman look good.
He got thrown right in with John Cena, had great matches. He got thrown in with Roman Reigns and had great matches.
Just imagine the Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles. It's gonna be so good.
Can't wait. The reason why we're so excited to sit here in front of a microphone and a camera and talk about wrestling, man.
You remember Money in the Bank when AJ Styles was on one side?
Yep.
I fucking Snapchatted it.
Yeah.
That was such a cool shot.
Yeah, such a cool shot.
I was
that was
so
in
psyched.
July. So here we are, 9 months later.
And here it is.
And here it is.
We got it.
That was the match that people talked about then. And it was almost like,
wow, I didn't realize it was 9 months. That's 9 months?
Yeah, it's not.
I could have had a baby. I could have named him Shinsuke Styles.
Shinsuke Styles.
AJ Nakamura at this point. Holy shit. If it would have been conceived that night, that was it. I always said, if I ever got goats, first one, Billy Kidman. Second one, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Billy Kidman is just appropriate. Billy Goat.
Billy
a kid is a small, or the baby goat, Billy Kidman.
How
Boom.
do we go from babies to goats in AJ Styles and Shinsuke
Nakamura?
Nakamura?
the naming my baby Shinsuke Styles or AJ Nakamura.
Okay.
I've been drinking a little.
You'll have some splaining to do to the lucky lady that went to bed with you after you marking out for AJ Nakamura.
Lucy, I got some explaining to do.
But that was a match that we did. Like fans would talk about it, friends would talk about it, where you say, "Boy, that would be cool." Like those guys at WrestleMania, and even then, you just didn't. WWE, like, it feels like every time you want something, they don't quite give it to you. In this case, they
seems like they're giving it to you.
Silver platter. AJ
we haven't seen it yet, but it's there.
Heavyweight champion Shinsuke Nakamura wins the Royal Rumble.
The potential is possible.
Just A and B and put right into place, and I can't wait, man.
Me either, dude.
Cannot wait.
Never have I been like I didn't watch wrestling for a while, but I'm pretty fucking psyched for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like this is probably the most psyched I've been in the 2 years I've been watching.
Right. It's a loaded card top to bottom. View our WrestleMania preview. Loaded card from top to bottom. And it's just there's so much talent in the WWE.
It has the potential to be the best WrestleMania in the last 5 years, probably, if not more.
There's just so much talent. And then there's the issue, they'll talk about bring back, say, part-timers. Well, your part-timers are The Undertaker and their Triple H and their Kurt Angle.
And Brock Lesnar.
And Brock Lesnar, for that matter. I want to see him. I want to see him, like, I do. Apologies to the Dolph Zigglers of the world.
Which is good. He's good, but he's
great talent and everything. But like, man, oh man, like I want to see Triple H and Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I honestly do. I'm honestly really psyched about that match.
I'm a guy that has 15 years in the wrestling business, and I appreciate wrestlers earning their spot. But I'm also a fan, and I want to see what Ronda Rousey does.
You're also a fan of spectacle.
I'm a fan of spectacle.
That's what wrestling's all about.
It is.
That's why it pisses me off every time anybody's like, "You watch wrestling, that's fake, right?" And I'm just like, "Motherfucker, Game of Thrones is fake, right? Breaking Bad's fake, right? It's a show just like anybody else.
One of those two shows.
If anything, it's more respectable because they do it like 300 days a year, live, on point.
You'll never be able to really fully explain everything that goes into a professional wrestling match. And if I try, I'll say this. I'll say, okay, go out there, run, jump, fall down, get back up. Fall down, get back up. Fall down, get back up. Lift a 300-pound guy up and slam him, okay? Yep. And all the while, act. Yep. All the while, be an actor and get...
Play along.
Whether you're at WrestleMania with 50,000 people or an arena show with 10,000 people, or at an indie show with a couple hundred people, but you're acting and get these people invested in you.
Exactly.
Do all that for 20 minutes.
No different than any other thing you watch on television or a movie.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view is just the movie version of the TV show.
But in wrestling, it's all live performance.
Yep.
It's
essentially you're watching a play, and they're killing it most of the time.
Most of the time, there's going to be...
motherfucker, those dragons ain't real either.
Botches or errors, yeah. Oh, God, yeah, man. Watch, if Game of Thrones was one cut, it was one cut every time.
If it was live, you know what I mean? It would be terrible.
And I love Game of Thrones. Nobody would watch it. If they had to pull that shit off.
For sure.
Live.
Remember, we love Game of Thrones while we're talking about
Game
this.
Of Thrones,
so, we're not hating on Game of Thrones. We're hating on people that don't understand
Game of Thrones
wrestling.
pod is going to be something that comes up after a couple more founders.
Yeah. Game of pods.
But man, pro wrestling is a live take. Basically every single time. Now, and even the WWE now, because Monday Night Raw is live and SmackDown is live. Before they could edit, and your television product would probably be a little cleaner product. But to the crowd, and it's not like there was 50 people watching them, and then there's 10,000 people. They're at the
in arenas.
They're at the Quicken Loans Arena tonight.
Yep. Oh,
Gonna be over 10,000 people watching them. It's live. It's a live take every time, man. I mean, that's nuts.
No, it really is. Like, if you think about it from the business side and the television side and everything of it, it makes complete and total sense that wrestling's a thing.
Sure.
Complete and total sense.
If you're not a fan of traditional wrestling, if you take a look at the performance, you know what I mean? If you just take an outside
just watch some indie shows on YouTube and you'll appreciate it more.
Watch some indie shows in your local town.
Yeah, at Mid-Ohio Wrestling. Watch some Mid-Ohio Wrestling shows and you'll appreciate wrestling.
Which my podcast partner is going to do here very, very soon.
Yeah, I've still yet to see one, but I missed the Wilbur Whitlock versus X-Pac show. Fuck X-Pac, if you're watching, love you, brother.
I do too.
Hit me up. Come on the podcast.
Well, I'll bring X-Pac. He has his own podcast.
I know.
It's a damn
with
good podcast.
Ron Funches. I watch it from time to time.
Damn good podcast.
Getting Dug with High, great episode, X-Pac. Get it. Oh, love that show. You ever watch Getting Dug with High?
No.
You know Doug Benson?
I know Doug Benson.
He's got a show where he just smokes weed with people and they talk, and it's a podcast.
It's not a bad idea.
It's fucking awesome. I love that show. He's got Jack Black was on that shit.
There you go.
One of the best episodes. That motherfucker literally spun around in a chair. He was so high. It was great. You should check it out. Getting Dug with High. Check it out. Watch our podcast too, though.
Watch this one too, and then after you're done,
check out Getting Dug with High and whatever X-Pac is.
Man. Well, I figure we can wrap up. This is episode 1, and we'll do a little more research.
Yeah,
and maybe
short and sweet, but we got it.
2 less beers next time.
Yeah.
But man, this is what we want to do. We want to sit here because what do wrestling fans do, man? You like to crack a cold beer and talk about wrestling.
Talk about wrestling.
We can talk about wrestling all day.
And who knows? Maybe we'll get off it. We'll talk about some. Who gives a shit? In the end, we love wrestling. That's all that matters.
We really do. WrestleMania weekend coming up. I can't recommend this enough. I mean, get with your buddy that has the WWE Network, okay? Everybody bring a covered dish, or everybody throw in a few bucks for pizza, and get it some cold beers.
Make it a fucking event.
Enjoy.
Yep.
Watch WrestleMania, man, and just enjoy the show. If you're not a wrestling fan, enjoy the spectacle. Do you see the sets that they provide at WrestleMania?
Oh my God! There's a ring on top of the ring.
There's a ring on top of the ring. There's something to be said about seeing a wide shot of 50, 60,000 people.
Yep, maybe even more
enjoying
sometimes.
A show. Something to be said about it. So I mean, I can't recommend that enough. Get together, watch a show, eat some good food, drink a cold beer. And just enjoy a good product, man. And then maybe you'll end up being nerds like us someday.
Exactly.
that
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That can't get enough of this stuff.
Appreciate the greatness in life. See it. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
With that said, this is Ohio Wrestlecast number 1. You know my buddy here, Jerrod Griffiths, a.k.a. Wilbur Effin Whitlock, ECF&W. All right, I'm going back. I travel back in time.
That stuff too.
I know.
Next podcast, we'll tell you about the time I wrestled Tommy Dreamer and Rhino.
Fuck yeah! I want to hear about X-Pac. I want to hear about Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man.
Want to hear about them all. But look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Media.
Instagram?
Twitter @Western Jesus.
I don't do Twitter, but follow him.
At the Western Jesus. There's another Western Jesus apparently. Fuck that guy. And yeah, follow Wilbur Whitlock on
Facebook,
anything.
Man, Wilbur Whitlock on Facebook. I'll have all my indie dates coming up. I hope to see you guys out there. You come on out, I'll sign an autograph. If you meet me at the after party, I'll buy you a beer.
Boom, there you go. Free beer. You can't pass that up. Not only that, T-shirts available at mattarcher.threadless.com. Look for an OWC T-shirt coming up soon. Now that you know this, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Yeah.